Hi, this is Mark Rabin. Welcome to episode 57 of Lean Blog Audio. It is May 28th, 2015. This is a Throwback Thursday post. It's titled The Leadership Mantras of Don Davis. Now, it's been just about 18 years since I was leaving General Motors to start the master's program at MIT's Leaders for Manufacturing program. It's now called Leaders for Global Operations. And if you'd like to learn more about the program or any of the links to the book I'm going to mention here, go to leanblog.org/audio57. The program was founded in the early 90s. It was a different world. They were trying to save and bolster, quote unquote, American manufacturing, while we're now in a world where everybody is a global company, it seems, and fewer academics lament the decline of this value-adding sector. Now, being a student and a graduate of that program has been incredibly rewarding and helpful to me in my career in many, many ways. It's a great community, and I still participate in the program's annual alumni conferences. Last month, I gave a talk at the alumni conference. It was meant to inspire fellow alumni to get involved in some way to help fix our healthcare system. And so as I've reminisced about the program, one highlight was the volunteer teaching of Don Davis. And he was the retired CEO of Stanley Works, the tool company, Stanley Tools. Don retired after serving as CEO of Stanley for more than 20 years, and then volunteered to teach a seminar on leadership and ethics for the LFM LGO program. Now, as the story goes, Don wanted to help industry, so he approached MIT to teach, and he asked for nothing in compensation other than access to the MIT squash and tennis facilities, which I remember him using either before or after class at times. Now, in the seminar discussions, Don wasn't much of a lecturer. That wasn't his style. He set a great example as a leader. In many ways, Don was ahead of the curve on topics like servant leadership. In other ways, he was what you might call kind of old school, including the importance he placed on integrity and doing the right thing. I'd like to think that doing the right thing is making a comeback, at least in some circles. But anyway, it was an amazing opportunity to have Don Davis as an instructor and a mentor. Now, Don passed away in 2010, and he left an unfinished book. One of my friends and former colleagues from Dell in the late 90s, Steve Cook, and a number of other alumni completed the book, working with Don's daughter, Ruthie Davis, of the eponymous shoe company, fashionable shoes that she started and is well known for, at least in circles of people who pay attention to fashion, which is not myself. But they all worked together, and they published a book that I've read, and it's great. It's called Do the Right Thing, Real-Life Stories of Leaders Facing Tough Choices. Now, the book highlights Don's leadership mantras, and it builds on that with real-life stories from alumni of our program who leaned upon these mantras to make tough decisions in their careers. And there's a blog post written by one of Don's grandchildren I've linked to that explains his different mantras. But here's how they appeared in the book, just as bullet points. Don Davis leadership mantras. Leaders don't choose their followers. Followers choose their leaders. Followers choose leaders they trust, respect, and are comfortable with. Integrity is the bedrock of effective leadership. Only you can lose your integrity. Self-ship is the enemy of leadership. Leadership should be viewed as stewardship. Leaders need a base of power and authority, but the more a leader uses this power, the less there is left. Be yourself. The number of effective leadership styles is limitless. The best leadership is based on persuasion. Leaders set the ethical standards and tone of the organization by their behavior. One of a leader's key responsibilities is stamping out self-serving politics when it emerges. Be sure to know as much as possible about the people you are leading. One manages things. People lead people. Diversity in an organization is not only legally required and socially desirable, it is effective. Don't make tough borderline decisions until you need to. Many will solve themselves with time. Be quick to praise, but slow to admonish. praise in public, but admonish in private. When making decisions about people, listen to your gut. Almost everyone can see through manipulation and game playing. Everyone can spot a phony. Learn to say out loud, "I was wrong," and "I don't know." If you know a plan or decision is wrong, don't implement it. Instead, keep talking. And finally, each of us has the potential to lead, follow, or be an individual contributor. Now, one of the mantras there especially reminds me of Toyota-style leadership and lean. Don said, "Leaders need a base of power and authority, but the more they use it, the less there is left." That reminds me of the mantra from former Toyota executive Gary Convis, and this comes from a blog post by my good friend John Miller, his Gemba Panta-Ray blog, and it says, quote, "Gary Convis recalls Kan Higashi, his mentor at NUMMI, telling him his greatest challenge would be, quote, to lead the organization as if I had no power, and that he must shape the organization by example through coaching, understanding, and helping others to achieve their goals," end of quote. Now, telling somebody to do something because I said so, or because you're the boss, that's leading with power and authority. I agree that the authority is not a bottomless well. As Don Davis said, followers choose their leaders, and they're unlikely to unchoose somebody who is overly authoritarian. Now, I heard similar ethical guidelines when I worked for Johnson & Johnson, but Don Davis was the first to say something like, "Think about what you're doing and whether you'd want to see it on the front of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal." My manager used to say that all the time at J&J, and he was a good guy. But ironically, J&J has often fallen short of that ethical standard in many ways over the past few years, even with their famed J&J credo. So as Don taught us, only you can lose your integrity, and that applies to people and companies. So I hope you'll check out the book. Again, it's called Do the Right Thing. If you search Google, you'll probably find the Spike Lee movie listed first. But if you search for Don Davis, Do the Right Thing, or Steve Cook, Do the Right Thing, or if you go to leanblog.org/audio57, you'll see a link to the book. I hope you'll check it out. And I'm curious, what do you think of the Don Davis mantras? Are they old school, cutting edge? Are they timeless? A combination of all of those things. Come to the blog, leave a comment, tell me what you think, or you can email me, mark@leanblog.org. Thanks for listening.
Podcasts are sponsored by KaiNexus, where we're passionate about helping the world improve and innovate more effectively with our web-based software. Learn more at www.makeimprovementhappen.com.